On Christmas, my wife threw divorce papers at me. Finally, her parents rejoiced. But as she opened my gift, her smile turned into a frown since she found this inside. Okay, read it. My wife gave me divorce papers over Christmas dinner, believing it would make me feel bad. But it didn't work when she opened my gift. This ride is going to take a long time, but trust me, it's worth it. Before I get to the Christmas Day bomb, let me tell you how this whole thing got started. I was 32 years old and believed I had life all figured out 8 years ago. I had just graduated from trade school and was making good money as an electrician. I had my whole plan laid out. A simple plan for a simple guy. Build the business, find a good woman, purchase a house, and maybe have some kids. I met her at my friend's cookout. She was 31 and a man. She was the one. You know what I mean? She was educated and blonde, and her laugh made you want to tell jokes simply to hear it again. She has a marketing degree and is working on her master's degree in psychology. The plan for the first date was to have drinks. It turned into one of those all-night talks when you fix the world's issues and realize you have something real. She made me feel like the most intriguing person in the room. 2 years later, we're living together. Everything is great. I'm working really hard to set up my electrical contracting firm. She's done with school. A classic partnership. I deal with the actual world. She makes things enjoyable. I asked her to marry me in year 3. Did everything the proper way. Ring, she'd been hinting about a romantic supper at the site we met. She sobbed, said yes, and put it on social media. Her family had thoughts about their college princess marrying a craftsman. But Shay quickly put an end to that. Told them I was making something genuine while boys her age were still trying to decide which video game to play. The wedding was in year 4. Her parents chose a country club for the big church ceremony and reception. This is where Justin comes into the story. He was in the wedding party and is married to Shay's sister, Sloane. A quick break to talk about Justin. Imagine all the jerks from business school who think they are the next Elon Musk. He always talks about his game-changing startup. He drives a BMW that he can barely afford. Wears those expensive designer sneakers that cost more than most people's rent. He calls everyone chief and gives his opinions on cryptocurrencies that no one asked for. But I was courteous because he's family. The years 5 to 7 were the best. We bought the house of our dreams. A nice colonial house with a white picket fence. Business was going well. I had 8 men working for me. People were waiting in line. Shay went to grad school without any debt. Paid for her car and her excursions with her friends. You were so good at fixing things that you even started performing free electrical work for her parents. Every Sunday, her family would eat dinner at her parents' house. The same dining room where everything would eventually go wrong. I'd listen to her dad talk about politics. Gossip from her mom's neighbor. Watch Justin come over with Sloane and their kids and act like a model family man. I can see the signs now that I look back. How happy she looked when Justin strolled in. How she laughed too hard at his bad jokes. How she always found a reason to help in the kitchen while he was there. But I was thinking about what was to come. Working 60 hours a week, building the business, and being the provider. I thought I was making something strong. I was just paying for my wife's midlife crisis. Things started to seem wrong in year 8. Nothing specific, just this strange feeling. Shay became aloof and critical, telling me I worked too much and didn't appreciate what I had. Maybe we needed to think about what we actually desired. I thought that was just standard married things. Every partnership goes through hard times. We might have needed a break or some help. The irony is killing me. 6 months before Christmas, the universe started sending me warning signs that were as clear as a brick through a window. The problem was that I still believed my wife loved me. The first sign is the phone situation. Shah's phone belonged to the whole community for 7 years. She'd throw it to me for pictures, then leave it on the counter to charge. I didn't care whether I saw her texts. We knew each other's passwords because that's what married people do. Then bang, passcode city. When did you get a lock on your phone? One morning I asked, is it okay for a woman to have some space? Very protective. Really fast. Yes. It just seemed odd. I'm arranging a surprise for your birthday. I don't want you to see anything by mistake. April is my birthday month. It was October. But hey, I spent 6 months arranging a birthday party for a $50 Home Depot gift card. Very thoughtful. Next followed the nights with the females. Maria, Jessica, and Claire, who were part of Shaw's group, used to get together twice a month to drink wine and talk about how bad their spouses were. Things that regular suburban moms do. Now that it's every weekend, they're too inebriated to drive. So, she's going to spend the night at Maria's. Every weekend. You do trust me, right? It became her favorite question. I trust you, of course. Okay, because I want this. Things at work have been rather hectic lately. It's been hard to work. She works in marketing for a dental office. I'm pretty sure it's not too worrisome unless someone needs a root canal right away. The credit card statements were what really caught my eye. I'm good with numbers and Shay dislikes dealing with money, so I take care of our accounts. Just scan through to make sure everything is normal. That's when I started to see charges that didn't make sense. Hotels throughout the city on nights when she was meant to be at Maria's. 2 dinners at restaurants I'd never heard of. Shopping sprees that appeared too much for book club gifts. The identical hotel charge was the true kicker. Every Saturday for 6 weeks we went to the Marriott downtown. Either Maria checked into a hotel room or my wife was lying through her teeth. Hey, honey, how much does this motel cost? I thought you were staying at Maria's? She didn't even look up from her computer. Maria's roommate scenario grew strange. It's just easier to find a room. That's when I made the choice to talk to an adult about what I was witnessing. She drinks coffee in bed and looks at Instagram on Sunday morning. Shay, can we talk for a minute? Yes. What's going on? I've been seeing strange things recently. The phone thing, all these overnight stays and costs I don't know about. Defensive mode right away. Are you really asking me this right now? I don't have any questions. Remember that I take care of our money? I see everything anyway. What does that mean? You don't believe me now? I'm only suggesting that things seem different. You leave every weekend. She exclaimed, Jesus Christ, and threw off the covers. Every time I go out with my pals, you transform it into a paranoid conspiracy. Shay, not every weekend is a night out. You know what? If you paid half as much attention to me as you do to those credit card statements, I wouldn't need to go out with girls so much. A classic move. Put the blame on me. I work really hard for this house and this life we established together. And now I'm supposed to just stay here and be thankful, never have fun, and never travel anyplace. That's not what I meant. That's what you mean. You want a woman from the 1950s who stays home and waits for you to get home. She left in a hurry. End of the conversation. But her response told me all I needed to know. People that are innocent don't get that defensive that quickly. I really started paying attention in October and November. Keeping track of things in your head, comparing stories against receipts, and looking for trends. When I looked, the patterns were clear. Every Saturday night at the hotel, she'd come home late on Sunday, take a shower right away, and then be extra polite. Coffee in bed, movie choices, and a newfound interest in my work schedule. When is your next big job? It became a common question. The last straw was Thanksgiving. We're at her parents' house, sitting at the same dining room table that would eventually become ground zero. I'm listening to Justin talk about some crypto, when his phone starts going off. He looks over at the women cleaning up in the kitchen every time he hears a buzz. 4th buzz. He goes outdoors to make a business call. Shay comes back 2 minutes later, looking red-faced. Maria's boyfriend is causing her problems. I should probably go and help. I observed Justin from the outside. He wasn't saying anything. He was sending a text. I said, I'll drive you. Not necessary. Stay for the pie. I'll just use Uber. An Uber to aid with relationship problems. At 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving. I made a choice that night. I was either going crazy or my wife was cheating on her sister's spouse. It's time to figure out which. I couldn't afford to employ a private investigator that charged $200 an hour. But I had something better. My friend Silas and I have no moral qualms about cheating on our wives. Since trade school, Silas has been my best friend. He doesn't have a filter, drives a pickup vehicle, and watches too much real crime TV. When I told him what I thought, he acted like Silas at his best. No way in hell. That Justin guy is a crypto bro jerk. That's what I'm attempting to find out. Well, underscore dude. The Operation Catch a Cheater is now officially on. We began with the basics. Silas and I got coffee and drove by the Marriott around noon on the first Saturday. There is nothing strange. Same thing happened the second weekend. I was beginning to worry that I could be paranoid. Third weekend, big win. Silas handed us donuts like we were cops on a stakeout. He said, "This feels like CSI," as he moved his mirrors. We are capturing cheating, not murder. 12:45 p.m., the parking garage door opens for Justin's BMW. My wife gets out of the car on the passenger side wearing the black outfit I bought her for our anniversary. They weren't even trying to cover it up. "Wow," Silas said quietly. "There's your smoking gun. Get pictures." Silas had borrowed a camera with a long lens from his cousin, who takes pictures at weddings. Started taking pictures like TMZ. I got pictures of them walking in together with his hand on her lower back. He added, "They look real comfortable," as she smiled. Too comfortable. We waited in the truck for 3 hours. Around 400 p.m., they came back to the parking garage. That's when we hit the lottery. These two idiots started making out against his car like teenagers. It was disgusting and perfect evidence all rolled into one. "Jesus," Silas said, still taking pictures. "Your wife's really going for it." "Ex-wife," I corrected him. We followed this routine for 3 more weekends. Same pattern every time. Parking garage, hotel check-in, lunch at the bar, back to the room. They had it down to a science, but I wasn't satisfied with just photos. I remembered something. Years ago, Shay had set up a Gmail account for a work project. She had forgotten about it, but it was still synced to our desktop in the spare room. I'd seen notifications pop up occasionally, but never paid attention. That Tuesday night, while Shay was at her book club, I fired up the computer. Bingo! Months of messages between a Gmail account I didn't recognize and Shah's old email. The Gmail was definitely Justin. Same pretentious writing style as his LinkedIn posts. They documented everything. And I mean everything. 8 months of affair planning, complaining about their spouses, describing their hotel adventures in detail I could have lived without. But it wasn't just sexing. They were planning their entire future together. December 10th. Justin, Saturday can't come soon enough. Got our usual room. Shay. Perfect. Told him I'm helping Maria with Christmas shopping. Justin, how much longer can we keep this up? Shay, until we figure out the exit plan. December 15th. Shay, think Sloane's getting suspicious? Justin, nah. She's too busy with the kids in Christmas prep. We're good. Shay, I feel bad sometimes. Justin, don't. We deserve happiness. They'll understand eventually. December 18th. Justin, been thinking about timing. New Year's, fresh start vibes. Shay, so cliché. What about after holidays? Less drama, Justin. Or Christmas dinner. Everyone together. Rip the Band-Aid off. Shay. That's cruel, Justin. Sometimes cruel is honest. Quick and clean. They were planning to blow up both families at Christmas dinner. How festive. I spent the next days printing everything. Silas helped me organize it chronologically, building a timeline that showed exactly how their relationship developed. Screenshots, printed emails, backup copies on 3 different USB drives. The financial evidence was what really sealed their fate. Silas and I went through every credit card statement from the past 6 months. Every hotel charge, every dinner, every shopping spree that didn't come home to me. We built a spreadsheet showing $12,000 of our money spent on her affair. "Look at this shit," Silas said, pointing at a Victoria's Secret charge. $30. When was the last time you saw her in new underwear? I haven't, right? She's buying screwy outfits for her boyfriend with your credit card. We also discovered Justin's financial situation. Silas ran a background check and did some digging. Turns out this __ was using company credit cards for personal expenses. Not just hotels with my wife, but groceries, gas, even his BMW payments. By December 20th, we had everything. Photos, messages, financial records, timeline documentation, even evidence of Justin's embezzlement. Silas helped me organize it all into folders, ready for whatever came next. They documented their affair, their lies, their plans to humiliate me. All I had to do was let them hang themselves with their own rope. Time to start planning my response. Once I had the evidence, I had a choice. Go caveman. Kick down doors, throw punches, end up in county lockup. Very satisfying. Completely stupid. Or I could be strategic. Use their arrogance against them. Let them think they were in control while I built the perfect trap. Guess which one I chose? First priority, protect my assets. Everything we'd built was about to become a war zone. And I wasn't letting this cheating underscore walk away with half my life's work. The house was priority number one. Our colonial that I'd bought with my money, my down payment, my mortgage payments. Legally, it was marital property, which meant she could claim half in divorce court. I called my buddy Tom, who handles real estate for contractors. I've done electrical work for him for years. Wired his office building for basically cost. Tom needs some advice on asset protection. Heard you can do creative stuff with trusts. What kind of situation? The kind where I might need to keep what's mine actually mine? Yeah, I can help. Tom explained I could set up a family trust with my sister as trustee. Completely legal. Happens all the time for tax planning. Once assets were in the trust, they weren't marital property anymore. They belonged to the trust, not me personally. But here's the catch. I needed Shay's signature. How do I get her to sign without raising flags? Tell her it's for tax optimization. People will sign anything if they think it'll save money. So, I told her it was for tax purposes, that we'd save thousands in property taxes if we restructured the ownership through a family trust. She signed without reading because she trusts me with the boring financial stuff. Next, I quietly started moving liquid assets. Opened accounts at different banks, ones she'd never heard of. Started transferring money in small amounts. $2,000 here, $3,500 there. Told her I was diversifying our emergency fund for better FDIC coverage. The cars were trickier. My work truck was already mine, but her Honda was joint. Tom helped me restructure that too. Created a loan where the trust loaned her money for the car, making her responsible for payments while the trust held the title. Why more paperwork for my car? Insurance restructuring. Our agent thinks we can save money if the vehicles are organized differently. Another signature without reading. Every document she signed, I was building a fortress around everything I'd earned. Because here's the thing about my state. It's a fault state, meaning courts consider who caused the divorce when dividing assets. Adultery plus theft of marital funds equals very bad news for the cheating spouse. I also restructured my business, called my accountant, told him I wanted to change from sole proprietorship to LLC for liability protection. Created Elite Electrical Solutions LLC with ownership structures that made my stake harder to calculate in divorce court. Updated all contracts, vendor relationships, business credit cards. If Shay wanted to go after my business, she'd have to untangle corporate structures that would cost more in legal fees than it was worth. The Justin situation needed a different approach. Silas's computer skills came in handy here. We spent hours researching his company, looking for weaknesses. Justin's startup was shakier than a house of cards, funded by investors who'd put in about $1.5 million based on promises of revolutionary AI technology. But when Silas dug into their actual products, it was mostly smoke and mirrors, fancy presentations with no real tech behind them. More importantly, Justin had been systematically stealing company funds. We found evidence of personal charges going back over a year, grocery shopping, gas, car payments, even vacation rentals. This wasn't just hotel rooms with my wife. This was a pattern of embezzlement. Silas printed everything. Bank statements, credit card records, expense reports. We organized it chronologically, showing how Justin's personal spending increased right when his affair with Shay started. This guy's looking at felony charges, Silas said, highlighting an expense report. Using corporate cards for personal stuff is textbook embezzlement. How much total? Close to $30,000 over 15 months. That's serious prison time. I also updated my estate planning, changed beneficiaries on life insurance, updated my will, made sure if anything happened to me, Shay wouldn't see a penny. Everything would go to my sister with instructions to fight any claims from my estranged wife. The psychological warfare was just as important. I had to play the loving husband while preparing for total war. Every morning, kiss goodbye. Every evening, ask about her day and listen to lies with a straight face. The hardest part was Christmas shopping. I had to buy gifts, wrap them, and act excited about our future. All while knowing that by New Year's, she'd be homeless. By Christmas Eve, I had everything ready. Silas helped me organize the final packages. For Shay, complete evidence file, every photo, every message, every receipt, the full story of her affair, documented and indexed. For Justin, copies of his embezzlement evidence ready to mail to his boss, the district attorney, and the IRS. For Sloan, her own evidence folder showing exactly what her husband had been doing. For her parents, summary explaining how their daughter had been lying to everyone for 8 months. I also prepared backup plans. If she didn't serve papers at Christmas, I had my own divorce petition ready for December 26th. If she tried to claim abuse, I had documentation of her systematic deception. If Justin tried to destroy evidence, Silas had already sent anonymous tips to his company. Christmas morning felt like sitting on a bomb with a timer I couldn't see. Walking into that house with wrapped presents, knowing I was about to orchestrate the most beautiful destruction in family history. Her dad was already working on his second drink, watching some meaningless bowl game. Her mom was in the kitchen stress cooking like Christmas dinner was a competitive sport. Justin arrived with Sloan and their kids around 2 p.m. playing perfect family. Sloan was chasing their boys around, trying to keep them from breaking anything expensive. And Shay, my lying, cheating wife, sitting across from me, fidgeting with her napkin like she was defusing a bomb, which in a way she was about to set off. Her parents kept making passive-aggressive comments about my work like they always did. Must be nice to finally take a day off, her mom said. Shay says you're always so busy. Business is good, I replied. Can't complain about steady work. Justin jumped in with his usual, "Undersir, that's the blue-collar trap, man. Always grinding, never living. Some of us work for what we have," I said, looking him dead in the eye. He shifted uncomfortably. Dinner was torture. Shay kept checking her phone like she was expecting an important call. Her mom was gossiping about neighbors nobody cared about. Her dad was explaining football rules to kids too young to understand. Around 400 p.m. After dessert, Shay finally stood up. "Actually," she said, standing up with shaking hands, "I have something I need to give everyone." The room went quiet, all eyes on her like she was about to announce a pregnancy. Her mom looked confused. "Honey, we already did presents." "This is different," she said, reaching into her purse. She pulled out a red envelope, hands visibly trembling, slid it across the table. "What's this?" I asked. "Merry Christmas, Silas?" She grinned. Her family was watching, sensing drama, but not understanding what. I opened the envelope slowly, pulled out legal documents, read the header aloud. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Dead silence. Then her mom actually smiled. "Oh, thank goodness. Finally." That's when I realized this wasn't just Shah's plan. Her whole family had been waiting for this. They'd been expecting it, maybe even encouraging it. Her dad nodded like I just announced the weather. About time. Justin started grinning behind his drink. Sloan looked completely lost. "Wait, what's happening?" "Shay's leaving him," her mom announced like she was revealing Christmas morning surprises. That's when I began to smile. The whole thing was so messed up that it was almost lovely. I pointed to the small, wrapped box beneath the tree that I had put there that morning and said, "You should open your gift too." She was losing her confidence. She didn't plan for this. Her family seemed bewildered since they didn't understand why I would bring a present if I knew about the divorce papers. She walked to the tree on shaky legs, took up the box, and came back to the table. Her hands shook as she opened it. Her face lost all of its color. There were printed pictures inside. They kissed in parking lots, walked into hotels holding hands, and he touched her against his car. There were USB drives below the pictures with the words, text messages, financial records, and hotel receipts written on them. Her mom let go of her glass. It broke. Her dad began to choke on his drink. Justin turned as white as new snow. Sloane stared at the pictures, then at her husband, and then back to the pictures. What the heck is this? It's time for my Oscar moment, I said, speaking to the room as if I were giving a speech. Since we're making family announcements, I thought you should all know that your daughter has been sleeping with her sister's husband for the past 8 months. Instant mess. Her mother began to breathe too quickly. Her father began to curse. Sloane picked up the pictures and proceeded to flick through them. With each picture, her face got redder. That she's been using our credit cards to pay for hotel rooms where they play house. Justin tried to cut in. Look, this isn't, and that your son-in-law here, I said, pointing at Justin. He has been using his company's credit cards to pay for everything, which is a crime called embezzlement. Sloane yelled at Justin. The kids cried when their mom yelled. In just 30 seconds, her parents looked like they had aged 10 years. I already sent copies to the district attorney and his boss, I said. Happy Christmas, jerk. Justin looked like he was going to spew up. But wait, there's more, I murmured as I turned back to Shay. Remember those boring tax papers you signed? Well, it turns out you don't own the house, the cars, or really anything else. It's funny how trust papers work when you don't read them. That's when Shay spoke up. You can't do this. Those autographs are fake. You fooled me. No, it's not. Everything was legal and out in the open. You signed papers that moved assets to a family trust to save money on taxes. Your lawyer can tell you how trusts function. I'll stand up to this. I'll take everything from you. With what cash? You used all of your credit cards to pay for hotel accommodations. Your company is going to fire you soon. You owe me money for the $12,000 you took from our marriage. Everyone in the room started yelling. Sloane was yelling at Justin while he tried to explain. Her parents yelled at Shay, and the kids cried even louder. I put on my coat and walked to the door. Where are you going? She yelled. Home? Well, my home. You'll have to find somewhere else to stay. I walked out, leaving behind the most beautiful mess I'd ever made. I sat in my truck for a minute, listening to the shouting through the windows, and then I started to giggle. Couldn't have gone better after 8 months of planning. Before I got to the street, my phone started vibrating. The first week after nuclear Christmas was like seeing a controlled demolition happen in slow motion. I'm at my sister's house with a drink, watching the damage from a safe distance. Let me show you the lovely destruction because this _ is more fun than anything else on TV. The destruction that is legal. 9 a.m. on Monday sharp. I sent in my rebuttal petition. Adultery with pictures as proof. Dissipation of marital assets with proof of payment. The full collection. He stated it was the strongest case of adultery he'd seen in 20 years. Shay probably borrowed money from her parents to hire a firm in the city. They said she was looking for personal fulfillment in a marriage that was emotionally distant and that I was being cruel. Good luck selling that tale when you have pictures of their customer with her tongue down her brother-in-law's neck. The judge wasn't impressed, especially when we showed him proof that $12,000 of marital money was spent on her affair. That's not just cheating in our state. That's stealing. The family trust makes the house untouchable. Same goes for cars. Accounts in the bank. What kind of bank accounts? The court thinks I'm just a broken-hearted electrician whose wife cheated on him and took all of his money. Her lawyer tried to stop the asset transfers by saying I had hidden marital property. But every signature was valid. Every document was duly notarized, and Shay signed everything freely. It's hard to say fraud when your client happily signed paperwork to save money on taxes. Justin's work bomb. The proof of embezzlement hit like a directed rocket. On Monday afternoon, Justin's employer called him into his office. By 4 p.m. he was leaving with a cardboard box and paperwork saying he was out of work. But it gets better. They didn't merely let him go from his job. They fired him for a good reason, so he won't get any severance pay, benefits, or health insurance. They are also trying to bring criminal charges against them for $28,000 in fake expenses over a period of 14 months. The DA's office was quite interested in the matter. Corporate credit card fraud is a prosecutor's dream, especially when the charges include hotels for affairs. He lost his share in the business. Stock options were lost. That IPO he was always talking about is going ahead without him. And his old associates are making sure everyone knows why. But here's the best part. His employer is suing him individually to get the money back. That means they're going to take his house, his car, and anything else that's not nailed down. Sloane's tour of revenge. In the end, Sloane was the most valuable player in this whole mess. Sloane was already on the phone with a divorce lawyer on Christmas Eve while Justin was trying to explain away pictures of him touching her sister. They filed documents on Tuesday morning with a plan that was pure genius. Full custody, the most alimony, half of everything, and damages for emotional distress for cheating. But Sloane didn't stop there. She destroyed Justin's reputation completely. I carefully wrote a Facebook post about finding out about my husband's affair, and it was shared 2,000 times in 48 hours. Sent proof to his parents, friends, and college buddies. The man's life with friends is over. Sloane also learned how to handle money. Before Justin knew what was going on, she had stopped their joint accounts, canceled his credit cards, and asked for emergency help. He had to borrow money to buy lunch by Tuesday. Her parents are in full crisis mode. Her mom has been contacting me all the time, begging and threatening me at the same time. In one voicemail, she stated, "Please think about the family. People made mistakes, but that doesn't mean everyone has to die. They made mistakes. Like when their daughter tripped and fell on her brother-in-law's dick for 8 months. He came to my store on Tuesday and wanted to work this out man to man. I told him that the only thing I wanted to talk about was his daughter giving back what she took. He said, 'She's still my daughter.' I said, 'And she's still a thief and a liar. She has a great fall.' This is when it gets very good. That assurance she felt when she slipped the divorce papers across the table was gone. She is back in her childhood bedroom since she really has nowhere else to go. We can't afford an apartment because all of our money is in accounts she can't get to. She can't acquire credit because her salary was linked to our shared finances. Her employment is considerably worse than it was before. There is a conduct provision in the employment contracts for her marketing company. When others found out about the affair drama, her manager summoned her in to talk. We take care of managing reputations. Her employer is said to have responded, "It's hard to manage other people's reputations when you can't manage your own." She's on administrative leave while they look into the problem. In other words, they're trying to figure out how to terminate her without getting sued. It's so hard to be alone. Her group of pals fell apart. Maria and Jessica even got sick of the drama and the repeated pleas for money. In her own town, she's pretty much a ghost. My business is doing great. This whole mess has been good for Elite Electrical, which is funny. Word spreads quickly among contractors, and it seems that being the victim of a cheating scandal is great for business. Everyone in town who works as an electrician, plumber, or contractor knows the story. They're all giving out references. Help the guy who did the right thing with his business. That seems to be what most people think. I've gotten more work in a week than I usually get in a month. My phone has become a war zone. Shay called me 47 times in 48 hours. 23 texts, some begging and some threatening. 12 voicemails going through denial, rage, bargaining, and sadness. Calls from Justin, her parents, and friends they both know. It's been interesting to see how Shay's messages have changed over time. It all started with denial. There is a misunderstanding here. Get angry. You're a spiteful, then you bargain. We can get through this. And ultimately, acceptance. No sound since Thursday. What's next? It will take months for the divorce to go through, but the outcome is already known. I have proof, safe assets, and the moral high ground. Shah is in debt, out of work, and her family is ashamed of her. If Justin is found guilty, he could spend 12 to 18 months in county jail, which appears likely. His civil cases will take all of his money, even what he doesn't have to pay for prison. Sloane is thinking about taking the kids back to her hometown, a new beginning away from the tumult. And I'm focusing on the business, perhaps recruiting more men. The funniest part is that this could have been avoided so easily. If Shay wanted to go, She could have requested for a divorce and left with half of our money and her dignity. She got selfish, stupid, and then she was destroyed. She intended to make me look bad in front of her family. Instead, she made herself the family's worst disappointment for a long time. Karma needs help sometimes. You have to be your own judge sometimes. And if you're patient and meticulous enough, you can occasionally transform other people's worst choices into your biggest win. After 4 months, everything have settled down. And let me tell you, justice tastes better than a Christmas meal. The end of the divorce. We got the final order 2 weeks ago. Everything went just as planned. She got what she deserved. Nothing. Final deal. I keep the house, the business, and all of the trust's money. She also owes me $24,000 in damages for stealing money from our marriage. $12,000 plus damages. Her lawyer made one last desperate move, saying she was having trouble with money, but Judge Morrison didn't care. Counselor actions have repercussions. Your client knew this when she used money from the marriage to pay for her affair. He said, "Guy's been on the bench for 15 years and has zero patience for cheating spouses. She's total legal fees, $31,000. Money she doesn't have for a case she never could have won. Her parents had to take a second mortgage to pay her lawyer. Justin's complete annihilation. Remember our boy Justin? Life's been real interesting for him. He pleaded guilty to embezzlement in February. Got 14 months in county plus 3 years probation. Could have been worse, but his lawyer negotiated down by claiming emotional distress from divorce proceedings. The civil cases were more brutal. His former company got a $67,000 judgment. Original theft plus interest and legal fees. They seized his house, his car, his bank accounts, even his golf clubs. Man's got nothing but the orange jumpsuit they issued in lockup. Sloane's divorce went through in January. She got full custody, the remaining house equity, and alimony payments Justin will be making from prison wages. 17 cents an hour doesn't go far, but every penny counts. Best part, Justin's startup folded after his arrest. Turns out when your CFO gets busted for embezzlement, investors lose confidence fast. All those grandiose plans for revolutionary AI died with his criminal record. She's rock bottom. But Shay's story is the real masterpiece. Lost her job officially in January when the firm's evaluation concluded she was no longer suitable for client F-facing roles. She's been living with her parents for 4 months, sleeping in her teenage bedroom with the same boy band posters from high school. Her mom complains constantly, according to neighborhood gossip that gets back to me through Silas's drinking buddies. Tried getting work at marketing firms around town. Word travels fast in professional circles, especially when your personal drama involves criminal charges. Nobody wants to hire the woman who funded an affair with embezzled money. She's currently part-time at Target making $13 an hour. The same store where she used to drop hundreds of outfits for her affair dates. Irony so thick you could cut it with a knife. The final encounter happened last Friday. I'm at Home Depot grabbing supplies when guess who's working customer service? Shay in a red vest looking like she hasn't slept in weeks. She saw me before I saw her. When I walked to the electrical section, she was waiting. "Can we talk? Are we talking now?" She inquired, looking around like she was embarrassed to be seen. I added, without stopping to look at wire nuts, "I mean, really talk about us?" I stopped and looked at her. Really looked. For months of consequences had not been kind. She looked exhausted, defeated, like someone who'd finally realized how badly she'd screwed up. "What about us? Last I checked, you served me divorce papers and tried to humiliate me. I made mistakes. You made choices. I corrected. Big difference. I've been thinking about what we had, what we could have again. That's when I started laughing. You for real? After you screwed your sister's husband for 8 months? After you stole from our marriage? After you tried to destroy me in front of your family? People change. I've learned." "Oh, what have you learned?" "That I had a good life and threw it away for nothing." She looked down at her red vest, at the customers walking past us, at the life she'd built through pure stupidity. "I know I don't deserve another chance." "You're right. You don't. We were good together once. Past tense. I can make this right." "With what?" You're working retail for $13 an hour. You owe me $24,000. What exactly are you going to make, right? The hope in her eyes died right there. So that's it. You won't even consider, lady. I wouldn't take you back if you were the last woman on earth. You're a liar, a cheat, and a thief. Those aren't mistakes. Those are character traits. I grabbed my supplies and headed for the checkout. You used to love me, she called after me. I stopped and turned around one last time. I used to love who I thought you were. Got a text from her new number that night. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you can forgive me someday. I deleted it and blocked her without responding. Some mistakes can't be forgiven. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. Shay made her choices. Now she lives with those choices forever. Game over.